Never know how loud to beep. Never know, never know. I think it's this loud. But that wasn't a beep. Mike. You dickhead. Beep. Okay, so a lot of you requested this.
It's one out of many.
Hello, lovely people.
I am not impressed or discouraged by your cherubic outwardity, androgynous one. I have reviewed your work, and I'm compelled to respond just like I would to any category of oaf. I'm not calling you an oaf, by the way. I'm just letting you know. You get no more privilege than an oaf. Not from me, anyway. For I am an oaf.
Okay, so you reach the point where you acknowledge that trans people are people.
I notice you haven't reached the point where you can acknowledge that other people have a theory of mind. That this world isn't just you bravely walking among a bunch of brain-damaged outpatients who think humanity is some kind of fluid that drains out during a sex change operation. Yeah, no. No one looks at a trans person and thinks, oh, what kind of animal is that? What you just said was very patronizing towards trans people and extremely cynical towards the human race in general. I can already see why your video was so unpopular.
And thus deserve basic human respects.
I thought you were going to say basic human rights for a second there, but yeah, no, that's not your issue, is it? The right to raise your own biological children isn't usually much of an issue for trans people, nor is the right to birth control for similar reasons. And the right to intact genitals isn't even a right, is it? It's a privilege you aspire to remove. While those newborn babies have the privilege of having it removed for free. And they have the nerve to cry about it. Yeah, I mean, some people. But, no, yeah, human rights has never been a sphere within the purview of trans activism. You're just interested in human respects. Which means no one ever making fun of your appearance. Right? Which cisgendered people wouldn't know anything about. It's not like they've ever been to school, or YouTube, or life. Yeah, just as long as we're aware of who's having the third world problems here, and who's having the... Well, as it happens, they sound rather like second world problems, comrade.
Most of these tips could apply to supporting any marginalized community, but this video specifically addresses how to be a better ally to trans people.
Alright, so what's the difference between a friend and an ally?
First of all, being an ally is an uncomfortable position.
Gotcha. In that case, I'd rather just be friends with everyone. Is that alright?
Are you uncomfortable yet?
Yes.
How about now?
Yeah, I was uncomfortable from the start.
You uncomfortable yet? You uncomfortable?
Yes, I'm as uncomfortable as I possibly can be from this far away.
You uncomfortable?
Like, that it's the kind of joke I might do, so whatever, but aren't you typically the kind of folks who insist on things like personal space? The case of triggering and whatnot, up to and including a safe variety of space. I mean, punching someone in the face may be a joke, but it's also an actual punch in the face. Getting right up into someone's personal space may be a joke, but it's still getting right up into someone's personal space. Obviously, this is just a video on the internet, so it's fine. There's no personal space invaded at all. And for that very reason, the joke didn't work. Or at least it suffered, in my opinion, from some rather empty awkwardness. But believe me, that is already the least of your problems.
In order to benefit the trans community, you must be active in your support. This means standing up for trans rights whenever it's safe for you to do so, and always deconstructing your learned biases.
If I ever start talking like that about anything, fucking clock me one. You don't have to be active in shit, folks. Unless you want to be active in that area. Or you're already getting paid to be active in that area. Pursue your interests, and in the meantime, do your fucking job properly. That is all. Needless to say, fuck my life if I ever start sounding like this.
All cisgender people are transphobic.
Bye-bye, Deep End. Nice knowing you. I've gone off you now.
Just as all men hold misogynistic views, and all white people are racist.
It's the shit-eating grin that does me in the moment. The last one is particularly poignant. I mean, quickly review what colour your skin is there, and then listen again to what you're saying.
All white people are racist.
I think that was you looking between the camera and the script, but I'm going to tell myself it was you realising for a precious scrap of a second that you are declaring yourself necessarily to be a racist.
All white people are racist.
You are confirming that you hate dark people, is that correct?
I've known that I'm a racist for 5 years.
Have you also known that you're trans for 5 years? Extraordinary.
And I still sometimes struggle with internalized transphobia.
Oh, you're concerned with hating yourself. Well, how about not calling yourself a racist just because you're white? Is that not internalized racism? If there is such a thing as internalized self-prejudice, then is it not perfectly and starkly illustrated in this fixated assumption of yours that your own race is inherently racist? Or that your own sex is inherently sexist? Although I'm guessing you don't experience that one at all. On that front, you just have internalized misogyny, alright? So, your misogyny is pointed inwards, your transphobia is pointed inwards, and your hatred of dark people is pointed outwards. So, in which directions would you suppose you are pointing your misandry, your cisphobia, and your hatred of white people? Oh wait, none of those things exist. That's right, isn't it? It's not that you can't see them. It's not that hate is invisible to those who hold it. It's that those three kinds of hate in particular do not exist anywhere in nature. Whereas the other three, misogyny, transphobia, and dark people hatred, the three kinds that you make a fucking living from exaggerating, those are the invisible ones. The ones that exist even more than the normies can see it. The other three, no, sir. Those are the three that actually are non-existent. I mean, have I made my point yet? In my opinion, all 6 of these prejudices exist, among many others, both in reality and in potentia. And to pretend any of them don't exist is only to hyperinflate their influence while drastically reducing their detectability. If you turn chlorine from a visible liquid into an invisible gas, then you have not neutralized it. You have in fact created a toxic environment.
Thoughts that maybe I am a freak.
There's nothing wrong with being a freak. Fuck you.
And what if cis gay people never find me attractive?
Ah! You actually have the kind of problems that people call me a fuckboy for having in their imagination.
Nobody likes being rejected by someone they're interested in, but coming up with conspiracy theories about
All cisgender people,
seeking to destroy all
trans people,
or whining about how unfair it is that
cis gay people never find me attractive.
is really just a sick reaction.
It's a fucking good thing MRAs are here, isn't it? Or you wouldn't all have an outlet to stop you from squabbling with each other. It's okay, all those bad things we think about each other, that's all just what MRAs are. See, and I'm not just talking about feminists and trans activists. Anti-feminists and MGTOWs do this as well. We're not reactionary or negative. Those inappropriate human rights advocates are the bad people, not us. You all keep trying to drive your sins out into the desert on the back of the men's rights goat. But it never dies. It keeps dragging itself back, still laden with all your sins, reminding you of how fucking callous and stupid you've all been acting. And the world is waking up. Slowly. The people have watched the goat come back so many times that they're finally asking themselves, hang on, maybe we haven't been casting our sins out at all. Maybe we've just been forgiving ourselves for our shortcomings, thereby continuing to in fact perpetuate them. Maybe we've just been stunting ourselves by pretending this goat is all the shitty people, thereby excusing the infinite shittiness of everyone except the goat. No thanks to the men's rights goat, of course. Struggling to stay alive against all odds. Stupid goat should have just wandered out to the desert to die like we told it to. We would have definitely figured this out sooner. Fuck off, MRA scapegoats. Your fault we have a scapegoat. See, you can't fucking help yourselves. Even when you're trying to get better, you're still fucking lashing out at the same essential entity. You're just addicted to this shit. You're addicted to kicking this fucking goat. You're addicted to blaming everything on the quick, easy answer of it's all patriarchy's fault. Or women have it worse. Or if you're on the fringe, the quick, easy answer of the MRAs are the ones doing it wrong. These answers are all much easier to swallow than men need rights too, and they're not necessarily in charge of everything. In the same way fresh vegetables are hard to swallow when you've eaten nothing but fucking junk food all your life. But the goat is going to stay. It's got nowhere else to go. It's the fucking desert, you dickheads. So, no matter how much you kick it about, it's going to come back and it's going to stay unless you actually kill it. And as you may have already noticed, this goat is the devil to kill.
If I've not been able to overcome my internalized transphobia in the 17 years that I've been living as a trans person, then I'm pretty sure you probably have some transphobic biases as well.
You are free to hate yourself as much as you feel is healthy. But please do not assume other people to be hateful by default. That is merely you projecting your own hatred onto other people. And that is what hate is. Certainly what hate usually is. Hate is almost never presented honestly. The likelihood that you will be killed by someone chanting, "We hate you," pales to the horizon compared with the likelihood that you will be killed by someone chanting, You hate us. Hatred, true hatred, rides into battle on the back of hypocrisy. Because it has to call itself love. Because we're a species that responds to love. That's why I still have faith in it.
If you tell me that as a cisgender person, you are not transphobic, you are telling me not to trust you. By telling me that you are not transphobic, you're telling me that you are unaware or choose to live in the dark about the way that we are socialized in a Western society.
So then I go, okay then, I am transphobic. And you go, see, you admit it! It's a fucking Bugs Bunny trick, dude! How stupid do you think people are?
And most disturbingly, by telling me that you're not transphobic, you're telling me that you think you know everything there is to know about being trans.
I do not hate you. Yes, you do! How dare you tell me what to think?
And that you think your allyship cannot be improved. Psst, you're also probably not going to improve your allyship until you acknowledge that you're transphobic.
You cannot get along with me unless you hate me. I'm still very uncomfortable, by the way.
Secondly, one of the most important things you can do as an ally to trans people is to listen to the voices of trans people and to listen to a variety of voices and not just those who agree with you.
Good point! So, when people disagree with you, listen to it. Don't just call them trolls and harassers and then get them banned. Yes?
You don't get a cookie for supporting trans people, but only your trans friends. The marginal...
That was an incomplete sentence. So incomplete that its meaning was not actually conveyed. It did not escape critical ambiguity. I'm not in the least bit interested in your fucking cookies until you can speak properly. You ludicrous little gurgler.
The marginalization of the transgender community continues because transgender voices are not being heard.
You are not helping. When this is the shit you say in the name of transgenderism, you are not helping. All this shit about if you don't admit you hate me, then you're actively hating me. That bullshit. It's fucking loony bin talk, dude. The only reason you're not in a loony bin is because you've found countless other lunatics who never disagree with each other. You can only exist in a loony bin or an echo chamber. And there is a pipeline between the two. Avoid the undertow at all costs.
The transgender community is incredibly diverse, and you can learn a crap ton by listening to the voices of trans people.
But before you introduce yourself to such voices, be sure to declare yourself transphobic. When you're knocking on the door of a transsexual, just clearly state, I'm a transphobic! It's okay! I'm not here to oppose anyone or tell anyone what to think. I'm just your average run-of-the-mill transphobic.
Your voice is often given more respect since you are not a part of the community.
No, it isn't. Exhibit 1. You're automatically considered transphobic. Either transphobic or even more transphobic. You just fucking said so. If you're not part of the community, you are marked with an antisocial fucking brain disease until you've made enough offerings to appease the fucking anointed ones. Fuck off with this bullshit, please.
In the words of Linda Martin, Speak with the intent to listen, not to speak.
I find I could do both at the same time. That chick sounds like she's having trouble with it.
Lastly, watch out for those macroaggressions.
What is that noise? That noise is a microaggression. That noise is a macroaggression. I can hear the walls of Jericho now.
Microaggressions are soft versions of transphobia, where you may have no malintent, but your actions still work to further the marginalization of trans people.
Oh! That's the soft version. So regular, everyday, aggressive transphobia, like when you say, I'm not a transphobic, I deny having an ingrained hatred for you, which I'm supposed to prostrate and beg for forgiveness for. That's actually deliberate, premeditated, malintent, is it? We haven't even got onto the subject of the accidental heretics. Alrighty, this doesn't sound in the least bit totalitarian. No, sir. I mean, Zadam. Whatever I mean.
And that means watch out for your stereotypes in cisnormativity.
Stereotypes in cisnormativity? You mean like this?
All cisgender people are transphobic, just as all men hold misogynistic views.
Those things you just said are stereotypes. You apply the characteristics of some to all. That is precisely what a stereotype is. It's a printing term. So, you get to do it to the people you don't like, but none of those people get to do it to you. Those are the people you consider morally lesser than you. Now and forever because of birth conditions. Or supposed birth conditions. I mean, in the case of most everyday feminists, their target outgroup is men. In your case, your target outgroup is the vast majority of the human population who must bow down to your everlasting moral superiority. You seem to be taking something very dark, very real, and very rare, and appropriating it so as to crown yourself as the unquestionable spiritual elite. And pardon my alleged transphobia if I do not buy it.
Trans people are erased by language that associates gender with a certain set of genitalia. No, you're not gay because you like penis. You're gay because you like men. But you may happen to really like penis.
That's a rule, is it? All trans people, if I asked any trans person, will they confirm that rule? Or will most of them say, I don't know what you're talking about? What the fuck is Tumblr? What? Is this just some shit that you and your allies made up in your echo chamber, and now you're telling other trans people what the rules are? How about calling yourself gay if and when you fucking feel like it? Remember that principle? You know, when you feel like it, rather than when some cabal douchebag says it's okay. Yeah, you're all about the do whatever you feel like, call things whatever you want to call them, shtick. Unless you've decided on a new rule, and then you're only allowed to call this thing this word, because we say so. Authoritarians with no self-awareness. You match the pattern at every point.
Also remember that there are narratives of trans people that you have probably never heard of before.
There are narratives of cisgender people you've never heard before. Like, I'm not transphobic, and I'm actually not transphobic. Have you ever considered listening to that and believing it?
Just because you've never heard it before doesn't mean that it's any less valid.
Just because it makes no fucking sense, that doesn't mean it is valid.
Don't act like you're Hagrid saving some kids from their misery by telling them that they're not actually trans.
Or that they are. How many cisgendered kids do you think have been erroneously convinced that they are transsexual because it was either that or be called transphobic? I haven't given you a number. I've asked you if there is one. And if you have an estimate.
At the end of the day, trans people really aren't that different from cis people.
Yeah, apart from the small detail that cis people all possess a hateful syndrome that cannot be cured and can only be treated by the capricious appeasement of anyone claiming to be trans. But apart from that, they're just the same.
We don't develop some magical Google search skills where we can just answer any question immediately.
No, you just have a magical divine revelation that means you don't have to Google shit ever. You can just declare your moral hierarchy with you firmly on top as the objective truth.
And we also have our own feelings and very valid experiences with gender.
And so do cisgendered people.
Even if you may never be able to understand.
Without calling them transphobic.
You can still humanize us in your own mind so that you can help the rest of the world humanize us.
The rest of the world doesn't need help humanizing you. You need help humanizing the rest of the world.
Congratulations! Now you're ready to learn how you can better support trans people as a marginalized community.
So this is a good point of fall off, actually. For the record, I have no issue with trans people. I have no issue with anyone doing whatever the hell they want with their own body. If you want to mutilate it, that's fine. If you want to kill yourself, that's fine. I may have strong counter arguments against it, but I can't and shan't insist upon them. What I do have a problem with is taking what you choose to do with your body and declaring yourself marginalized because of it. Declaring yourself more marginalized than other people and therefore more worthy of compassion and attention than other people. Just because of your own fucking attitude towards your own body. Okay, I used to cut myself, right? Before I discovered drugs, I was something of an emo dickweed. Before emo was a thing. The razor scars have all sort of faded between the hairs, but you can probably see the cigarette burns. There's a couple there where the skin's different, and there's a noticeable sort of hypertropic one there. Now, I did that because it was a very long time. I did it because I didn't feel right in myself. I sort of wanted to like to get out. I wanted to like, because I didn't like my skin. I'm pretty sure I didn't choose to feel like that either. My brain just didn't like what was going on sort of anywhere, and there was no. It's really difficult to describe. I just sort of envy you that you could describe things so easily. You could just pick a word from a list and go, that one. That's my weird brain thing there. That word, because I did my best to hide that shit. It was a fucking stupid thing to do, and it would be an even stupider thing to get attention for doing. So imagine my reaction if and when someone else comes along, pulls their sleeve down, points to some faded scar tissue and said, "This makes me part of a marginalised community." This makes me special. And if you've never been there, if you've never been so foobar that you find nothing entertaining except your own blood, then you're a cis-brained normie. And you're not allowed to hurt my feelings, but I'm totally allowed to hurt yours. I would be quite pissed off at that person. Whether their story was true or not, I would be very pissed off at what they're doing with it. Even though I'm in their group. I'm in their nominated flavour of dysmorphia. I mean, their marginalised identity, who deserves privilege and is allowed to hurt other people's feelings with impunity. You'd think being included in that group would make me okay with it. But no, that would just make me infinitely more enraged. Because why the fuck would you make other people feel bad? If you understand what it's like to feel so rejected that you start taking it out on your own skin, why, in all kinds of fuck, would you want to wear that like a badge of superiority? Not just why, how? I don't fucking understand how you can be proud of that, how you can take an abyss of shame and compress it into a medallion of pride, which you then use to thrash everyone else down to their own abyss. So it sort of makes sense that you would do it all with that beaming fucking smile on your face. This all gives the distinct impression that you've never really been to that abyss at all. You're just stealing it and using it as a weapon. And that really pisses me off. That pisses me off with the power of the abyss. And I don't know how much power that is. I actually try to detach from the abyss. I actually don't want other people falling into it for any reason. Nobody deserves that, no matter what their crime is. See, I don't appreciate it when you sit in a spacious, air-conditioned paradise in front of a fake green screen and saying, "I'm reporting live from the abyss. You have to do what I say now." Don't be surprised when you receive the odd salty word from the thousands of hell beasts who have actually escaped the abyss. You're probably going to bring out some dark shit. Prepare yourselves. Winter is coming. It's not, it's April. Shut up.